Thanks, Ted. Let me see if I can see here. The late David Ross addressed this gathering on a number of occasions, and I miss him terribly, as many of you do. But I'm glad I had a chance to get to know him, to get to know him well. He still missed so very much, not only by his friends and family, but by the nation that he loved. I, like many others of my generation, born in the 50s and educated in the 60s, was taught very little of my own country's history, but a sanitised version of British history, coloured by the influence of the British Empire, just as much as the Mercator map that used to hang on the schoolroom wall, that was emblazoned red, indicating every country that Great Britain had cowed and bludgeoned into submission in its heyday of the Empire. But I did not grow up brainwashed. I did not grow up wanting to obliterate every other human being who did not agree with me or my take on life. This has been the excuse trotted out by the politically correct brigade to justify the actions of terrorists that they have been hard done by. When I left school, I realised I had been cheated. I had been deprived of my own nation's history and heritage at the expense of another's. And it was even worse when I realised that it had been deliberate. I began to scour the libraries and devoured everything I could about Scottish history, from the enigmatic standing stones of the Picts, onto the medieval period and the Wars of Independence, and the later history of the Jacobites and the Covenanters to the Union, and the death knell of Scottish history as we know it. The aftermath of Culloden, and then the Highland clearances, just about killed off the fighting spirit of the Scots and their status as a nation. As I said, many modern apologists for the tragedies of terrorism and violence quote early learning and indoctrination as an excuse for the actions of these runts of the world's society. But I learned my nation's history despite being deprived of it as a youngster, not because of it. I refused to be indoctrinated then, and I ask you to refuse to be indoctrinated now. This is your country. Stand up for it. It may be the last thing you have a chance to stand up for. In Davies' book, For Freedom, he reproduced a quote from the Nazi Reinhard Heydrich speaking on the Germanisation of Czechoslovakia. The quote's this: "Deprive the people of their national consciousness. Treat them as a tribe and not a nation. Dilute their national pride. Do not teach their history. Propagate their language as inferior. Imply they have a cultural void. Emphasise their customs as primitive. And dismiss independence as a barbaric anomaly." Any of this ring a bell? This is exactly what has been systematically applied to Scotland and our people by a foreign government for the last 300 years. But that is now about to change. I look around at some of these real kink faces and I see that we will do this. It's time we emerged from the shadow of our southern neighbour to reassert ourselves and took our place as a separate, sovereign nation. We have so much to offer the rest of the world. All we need is a chance. Everyone I meet here today can help by doing all you can to help Scotland reassert our independence. In honour of all those who have gone before us, those who have fought for Scotland's freedom, whether by pen or by sword, we must strive to make this a reality. We owe them no less. We can all play a part, no matter how big or how small, in delivering that freedom. I'm convinced now more than ever that we will be a nation again. Sadly, some of those who gave their all to see it happen will not be here to witness it. But we can take pride in the fact that we have all played our part in this effort to change the course of our history. That indomitable spirit which dwelt deep in the psyche of the minds of Scots may have been subdued over the last few centuries, but is still there. The time has now come for the Scottish line to reawaken from its slumber and to roar its defiance. Thank you.